What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Bear here today with our tips and tactics first look review on the new Space Marine Angels of Death book. It's a pretty exciting book, and everybody, by the time this video is out on the interwebs, I'm sure everybody's already talking about it. You know, FAQ people are like scrambling and like trying to like make shit work, and it's just like a whole big thing. And us chaos players are all sad, like, why don't we get good rules like that? But you know, it's pretty cool. I mean, I think it's a start of a trend, and I think we're going to see more kind of supplements like this. And there's nothing to say that we won't see supplements for Dark Angels, Grey Knights, and you know, on down the line for all of the other Codex books for Space Marines as well here in the near future. So it's a really exciting time, but there is a lot of ground to cover with this book because there's a lot of stuff that's new, a lot of stuff that's old, and a lot of stuff that's old made new again. And it's just like, what? You know, you really 40K is beginning to become something that you almost need a college degree just to put a list together. And, you know, depending on what event you're playing in, you know, this FAQ and how many sources. And I've said it a million times, I'm a 40K fat kid. I just want to take all my toys and play with them. I want 5 sources, 10 sources, I don't care. As long as I can fit them in the points and I have the allocated requirements, I'm good with that. You know, that's how I feel the game should be played. But, you know, I might be in the minority there, but well, you know, sometimes I just my Blood Angels want to play with my Grey Knights, who want to play, you know, with my Marines, and maybe some Guard, maybe some Death Corps, maybe whatever. I don't know. It's crazy, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't get to play that many games, so when I do play, I want to play with as many toys as I can, I feel like. So I've been kicking around a lot of different ideas there on that front. So before we jump into all this, and got to pay the bills real quick, you know, make sure you stay in the trenches, subscribe to this YouTube channel, check out the blog, spikybitsblog.com, and of course head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports. We got a lot going on over there, and there's many more good things on the way. This is part 1 of our tips and tactics videos on the new Angels of Death. So look for a Psychic Power one coming out next week as well, covering all of that, because there's a lot to talk about the Psychic Powers, believe you me. So let's jump right into it and check out the new book. So here it is, the book that's got all the kids talking, the new Space Marine Angels of Death Codex supplement. So normally what we do on these reviews is we basically take a greater, deeper look for, you know, 20-30 minutes on the books themselves and kind of going over the topics. I like to start with war gear a lot of times because that's what's referenced in a lot of the data sheets. However, this is a collection of mostly detachments and formations, a lot of which we've already covered. So the big thing that I think is going to be a separate video is the Psychic Powers, because they seem to be a big hot button issue right now, and I really want to dig deep into them because there's a lot of gotchas and a lot of misnomers, and we don't really know like how, you know, the FAQs are going to come out basically regarding this stuff. So honestly, overall, I think this is a very well written book, and we see some things that are in here that are clarified. But then a lot of people have some questions, and I think the questions are just basically brought up by trying to think a little outside of the box to what they mean, but not really paying attention to the wording that's in here, because the wording is actually pretty good. So that being said, let's jump right into it because got a lot to say about this, obviously. So this is the new Angels of Death supplements, 128-page softcover book for about $33 here in the States. Probably a staple item. You'll probably be able to get it wherever. It's not going to be something that's going to like sell out or anything like that. So the big thing that's in here and that you're going to notice is there's a lot of regurgitated content. You got a lot of content in here from Kalyan, which was the Tau supplement that came out in October or November of last year, I believe, right? And that had a lot of White Scar stuff and a lot of Raven Guard stuff in it. But what happened was a lot of those formations are now unlocked for all of Codex Space Marine. And remember, Codex Space Marine, they keep referring to it here. This is a supplement for Codex Space Marine, which is their own faction, Space Marine. So if you look at the faction chart in the main rulebook, you can see that Space Marine is its own faction, right? There's, you know, Space Wolves are different, Grey Knights are different, Dark Angels are different, Blood Angels are different. So everything in this book pertains to Codex Space Marines. So don't get it twisted in that regard, because
a lot of people are like, yo, I want to take the Skyhammer Annihilation. The way this is worded, I feel like I can take this in this book. But it's worded any chapter of Codex of Space Marines because this book is a supplement to Codex Space Marine and the Space Marine faction. And that's not to say that there won't be an additional book supplement for, say, the Blood Angels, bringing some of this stuff to them because, hey, then Games Workshop could charge us like 4 times for the same content, right? But and don't think they won't, because it's only crazy if it doesn't sell, and we're buying their shit over and over, so they're gonna try it, I guarantee it. So that being said, you know, I could see maybe a Blood Angel supplement being first out of the gate that collected the stuff from the Shield of Ball campaign books that were the fall of 2014, right? So expect a lot of things coming our way, because I'm sure this book was a smashing success, and I'm sure we're going to see more of these supplement type books leading into complete reprints of the Codex themselves, a complete Codex Space Marine reprint, because now you're talking to Codex Space Marine was 150 pages, now you're talking a book that's literally, if you take all this stuff and you put it in it, it's going to be around 200 pages, maybe 175. You know, they'll be able to sell that 2-3 years down the road after all of the, you know, supplements and things come out, and they'll be able to collect it all together, and boom, there it is. They don't even need to come out with an 8th edition 40K, because they can literally keep reprinting the Codex books and the supplements over and over and over and over, and keep charging us for the same stuff. I see this, I see this being the way it's going to be for a while. So, that being said, I've been wrong before, but I've also got a lot of experience and some inside knowledge and inside tracks to the way they think and the way they do their things. So, you know, don't be surprised if this stuff comes to pass, but hey, who knows the directions they're going lately anyway, so you just never really know. Okay, so back to the book itself, right? So there's a lot of collected stuff from Kalyan. There's also some new content. You've got Salamanders got new content in here. They got war gear, a detachment, some warlord traits, tactical objectives. There's new tactical objectives sprinkled throughout for different things that might not have had it before. The Imperial Fist stuff is pretty much from the Sentinels of Terra expansion, but now they have their own detachment, so that part's new. Everything else is the same. The same with the Iron Hands. They had the Clan Rukan basically reprinted in here, but now they have a new detachment with some clarifications on Power of the Machine Spirit, and also it will not die as pertaining to vehicles, because remember, vehicles don't have the special rule chapter tactics Space Marine. They just have vehicle and whatever, like, I don't know, I don't even know what they have, but they don't have it. Trust me, I looked. And so there was a lot of confusion about what chapter tactics conferred to them. They're just like, yo, all vehicles, boom, get this. So they cleaned up the wording a little bit, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of the wording in here is, if you take it to mean Codex Space Marine only, the wording is pretty on point, I feel like, in this book. This book is very well worded, in my opinion. But if you start to be like, well, does that mean Blood Angels? Does that mean Dark Angels? No, it doesn't. This is Codex Space Marines only, guys. Like, stop confusing everyone. I've read so much crap over the past 3 days on the internet. I'm just like, it's just blowing my mind how just everybody is confusing everybody else, and it's really, and I can only imagine the developers and the designers just like banging their heads against the wall, because us stupid Americans always want to break everything, and you know, we that's our whole style of play, and it's just, we're just confusing, we're just making it worse. So I'm here to try to set the record straight in this first part, closer look here. So jumping in, a lot of the fluff and everything is from the other books. Some of it is new, but you know, we're not really here to talk about fluff, right? We're here to talk about rules. So first up, some of the new content, which I really dig, is, and this is where it really gets into talking about Codex Space Marine only. Like, this is Codex Space Marine. This is not Blood Angels, Grey Knights, Space Wolves, Dark Angels. It's just Codex Space Marine. The Codex Space Marine Codex that came out in 2015. But what's cool about it is you can sub in any, you know, Terminator Captain for a Terminator Captain, for the one from Cal's, the Cataphracts for normal Terminators, and the Contemptor Dreadnoughts for any Contemptor Dreadnought in any formation, in any, you know, verbiage of the word where it's a requirement. You can use these models from Calth, and then they give you the data sheets right here. But let's jump back to the War Gear part, because that's what I feel like is the most important to start covering. So the Terminators have the Combi Bolter. Way better than normal Storm Bolter. Strength 4, AP 5, but more importantly, it's rapid fire twin length at 24-inch range. So it's better than normal Storm Bolter. These guys are awesome. They're the same points as a Shooty Terminator, but 35. But they can mix and match close combat weapons, shooty weapons. They can have a heavy flamer. They can't get the cyclone launcher, but they can get the grenade harness, which lets them swing at initiative going through terrain, which I think is pretty solid. So the grenade harness right there, I just covered that. The Carries Pattern Assault Cannon is ported over to the Contemptor Dreadnought. It's not quite as powerful as the one in Horus Heresy, which has a longer range, but this is 24 string 6 AP4. It doesn't have the helical targeting array from 30k, but it has the atomic shielding, which is good. I mean, it's good in combat, it's good not in combat, but it's got a hefty price tag at 170. I feel like that's kind of overpriced for a Dreadnought in general, but if you got the model and you can play with it, hey, that's cool. But you are locked into this configuration of one close combat weapon, one special weapon, so you can't do like the double Mortis Daka pattern, right? Then the Cataphractii Terminator armor actually has a 4-up invulnerable save, so it's better than the normal current pattern of Tactical Dreadnought armor. So they have a 5-up invulnerable, right? Now these guys are slow and purposeful. The Terminators were never able to sweep anyway, so that's not as big of a deal. Now if you take the Terminator Captain, he also comes with an Iron Halo. So he, if he's in Cataphractii armor, which is a free upgrade, gets to reroll rolls of 1 on his invulnerable, essentially making him a 3-up invulnerable save, which I think is pretty solid as well. And then he can mix and match things, from the special issue war gear, etc., etc. So I think these are pretty solid units. Not sure we'll see a lot of the Contemptor Dreadnoughts on the tabletop, but that is what it is. Then it gets into some of the Kalyan formations, and the Stormlance Battle Demo Company is going to be one that we come back to a lot, because a lot of the detachments refer to this as either a core or auxiliary choice, and it's actually not bad. You get to, when we talked about this before in our Kalyan review, but you can reroll failed to hit rolls in the shooting phase while targeting an enemy unit that is controlling an objective marker. So it's not quite objective secured, but it still gives you that extra edge against things that are on objective markers. And then it has the thing where units from this formation equipped with Space Marine bikes or jump packs can move 2d6 immediately after they shot in the shooting phase. So they've got that little battle focus kind of thing that the Eldar have. So it can be helpful depending on what you're trying to do with your army. So just keep all that in mind, and there's specific restrictions to what you can take. And then the Hunting Force, the Stormbringer Squadron, Spear Tip Strike, Pinion Demi Battle Company, Shadow Strike Kill Tree, Blade Wing Assault Brotherhood, Skyhammer Orbital Strike Force, Shadow Force, which was the special one that came in the box set, Raven, Hawk, Assault Group, and Raptor Wing, say that 10 times fast, are all what we've seen before from the Kalyan book, but now they are unlocked to all Space Marine faction from the book, right? So there's that. So now we have the first print of the Skyhammer Annihilation Force, which is basically a fan favorite, mostly, that we saw come. It was one of those things that came with the, what was it? It was a bundle that you could buy from Games Workshop, and you got this, but it was like $700 and nobody bought it. But of course, one person bought it, put it on the internet, and now we all have it. But this is the first official printing of it if you didn't want to purchase the actual, bundle they had. So that's cool to see there. You don't have to like print it out on a PDF anymore from, spikybits.com, of course. Then there's the Armored Might, or the Anvil Strike Force, which is the detachment that's new to this book here. And this is pretty much vehicle-centric. If you want to take vehicles and you want to do a lot of cool stuff, you can throw some extra shooting attacks on them, depending on this command benefit here. Big Guns Never Tire. The Warlord, you can basically choose a tank to be your Warlord as a character. A couple of times we've seen that, first in Guard books and now in this. That's kind of cool to get you to shoot twice, so you can, shoot your huge blast indicators or something like that, or, I don't know, maybe the Land Raider Crusaders got a lot of shots, something like that. So it's basically vehicle-centric with some of the stuff, some of the formations from the actual Codex Space Marine, but also, this new requirements here called Master of the Armory and Keepers of the Forge. And then, of course, you got more of the Space Marine stuff right there. And then we get into the White Scars detachment, which we've already seen in previous books. Same here, Warlord traits, previous books, relics, previous books, tactical objectives, Kalyan. Then we get into Sons of Dorn. And like I said, this detachment is new for them. However, the rest of the material was already in Sentinels of Terror. The Warlord traits, the relics, they haven't changed, that you can take both relics from Codex Space Marine and Sentinels of Terra, you have to take vice versa, one or the other. They also clarified the bolter drill, so basically when you take a detachment, which also includes this as a detachment right here. So whether you take this detachment, this specific detachment, or a detachment, combined arms detachment, or whatever, technically an allied force is a detachment, rules is written, they get the bolter drill special rule, which allows them to reroll all hits of 1 made with bolt pistols, bolt guns, storm bolters, heavy bolters, and combi weapons that are firing as bolt guns. And they also have siege masters, which gives them +1 to the the building damage chart. And Imperial Fist Devastators and Centurion Devastator squads have the tank hunter special rule. So that actually helps, with their grav weaponry, going after things, because you want that 6 all day, every day. And then it gets into the relics and warlord traits, which we've already seen. So back to the Sternhammer Strike Force. You've got a lot of stuff going on here, like I was saying. You got the Superior Bolter Drill, right? Boom. That is a special rule. Models in this detachment with the Bolter Drill special rule, which remember are going to be classified on the other page right there, can reroll all failed to hit rolls made with bolt pistols, bolt guns, storm bolters, blah 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 blah, etc., that we already saw, instead of only rerolling 2 hit rolls of 1. So they basically get to reroll instead of just 1. The rule also applies to models firing Hellfire, Kraken, Vengeance, and Dragonfire rounds. So it expands out to those Stern Guard veterans and anybody else that can take that weaponry. They also get +1 to armor pen rolls made against buildings as well. Now there's a couple of restrictions, like on how many formations and things you can take right here, but notice that one of the core is the Battle Demic Company here from Codex Space Marines, and that one's pretty good. 2 of those together form the Gladius Strike Force, and that actually gives you objective secure. So that's probably a good place to start for all of this right here. Definitely a good place to start, and then you can kind of go down the list, and then some of it you can still take from the ones in this book from Kalyan. So they basically giving you options to the old book, but also the new book as well, or this being the new book here with the Kalyan detachments, or excuse me, formations. And then it gets into tactical objectives. We saw the Crimson Fist and Black Templar warlord traits in a White Dwarf, I think around Christmas time. Then we get into the Iron Hands, which are the Sons of Gorgon. So you've got the Fist of Medusa Strike Force, which is a brand new detachment for those guys right there, which includes, again, some of the stuff from this book and some of the stuff from Codex Space Marine. So they kind of get the 40k Fat Kid buffet there. But more importantly, they give you the detachment rules to any detachment that contains, basically Iron Hands models, non-vehicle Iron Hands models. Have the Feel No Pain special rule. If they had the Feel No Pain special rule from another source, such as an Arthesium, of course the Apothecary, they instead add 1 to the result for the Feel No Pain rolls. Machine Empathy, Iron Hands characters and vehicles have the It Will Not Die special rule. Furthermore, Iron Hands Tech Marines add 1 to the Blessing of the Omnissiah rule. So they basically clarified the ruling right there. If you're an Iron Hands vehicle, you get it. If you're an Iron Hands special character, you get it. Boom. Easy peasy. And then it gets into some other stuff right here, like how they can take more dreadnoughts than normal, and the Scions of the Forge. Basically, you can take extra Tech Marines, and then it gets into the gifts, which again are all the old ones from Clan Rakan, including the Gorgon Chain, fan favorite right there. You can only take either or. You can't take on the same guy. You can't take stuff from Codex Space Marine or these right here. So not kind of new, nothing new right there, basically. So getting back to this, the command benefits, if this detachment is your primary detachment and your warlord has 2 warlord traits instead of 1. So that's kind of cool, because remember, if you take a CAD, just a normal CAD, you get 2 rolls on the chart. Well, now you get 2 rolls on the chart and you get to keep it. That's pretty dope, and reroll doubles, so digging it. Reject the Flesh, Embrace the Machine. Models in this attachment add 1 to their Feel No Pain rolls they would make while they were within 12 inches of an independent character from the same detachment. We'll get to that in a second. There's some definite uses there. Vehicles in a Fist of Medusa Strike Force have the Power of Machine Spirit special rule while within 12 inches or while carrying an independent character from this detachment. Again, another important distinction from the get-go. That's why I was saying this one's pretty much worded very well in my opinion, because of the discrepancy with the It Will Not Die on vehicles. They word this properly as well, so there's no question of basically how it works. Now, when you take a look at the detachment or the detachment requirements, I guess, you'll notice that again the Stormlance Battle Demo Company is here. You can also take the Battle Demo Company from Codex Space Marine, which is the one that gives you objectives secured. Definitely fan favorite, and I always lean to that right off the bat as well. You can also take a Librarius Conclave, or curious enough, because let's be honest, these Feel No Pain rolls are pretty good, right? So now take a look at this. The Strike Force command, which is an auxiliary, so you could take the Battle Demo Company or the Stormlance Battle Demo Company and the Strike Force command, which would get you that captain, which you can upgrade to a chapter master and a command squad right off the bat, and that's literally all you have to take. You could actually take two captains upgraded if you wanted to, but you don't necessarily have to, but you have the option to get it. Well, I guess you don't. It says one of the following, so you would have to get it from the Stormlance Battle Company or the Battle Demo Company. But what I'm trying to get to is that if you take this, you're a +1 to Feel No Pain right off the bat. Then if you have the Narthesium, you're another +1, right? If you have the Gorgon's Chain, you're another +1. Because if you're within 12 inches of an independent character, Chapter Master is an independent character, I feel like he's 12 inches of himself, you get +4 to your Feel No Pain rolls. So you can have a Chapter Master rolling around with +4 to his Feel No Pain rolls, which is pretty good. So not only do you have it invulnerable, but you have +4 to your Feel No Pain. I feel like he's going to pass a lot of these. That's all I'm saying. So keep that in mind right there. I'm sure we'll see that one on the tabletop. But there's no way to access Hit and Run, unfortunately, because you can't mix White Scar's Chapter Tactics with Iron Hand's Chapter Tactics. They kind of invalidate themselves. There's no real way to do it unless you get it from an outside source. Some original content here, the Sons of Vulcan. This is the Salamander's time to shine, right? So they've got a brand new detachment. They've got brand new everything, tactical objectives, warlord traits, relics, special rules here where basically Salamander models have the Feel No Pain 4-up special rule against wounds caused by flamer weapons as defined in the 40k rulebook. Again, great wording. Furthermore, when using flamer weapons, models can reroll fail to hit and to wound or / armor pen if they do not result in a glancing or penetrating hit. They are also master artisans, so each character can basically get a free mastercrafted upgrade on one piece of his war gear, which is pretty nice. And then it gets into the relics, which as we saw you can't double dip, and the warlord traits. So back over to the Flameblade Strike Force formation, or excuse me, detachment. You've got the command benefits of Vulcan's teaching, same deal. They basically get 2 warlord traits instead of rolling twice on the same chart. They just straight up 40 kid fat kid buffet, give me 2. Loving it. Scorched Earth, add 1 strength to all the flamers as, once again, good wording, defined in the 40k rulebook. And not 1 step back. If they don't move and remain stationary in a movement phase, they become fearless. Pretty dope right there. Again, let's take a look at some of their options. Battle Demo Company, that gives you objectives secure. You can opt for the Stormlance Battle Demo Company. I'm not sure if that's suited to the Salamander's style of attack themselves, but then you can definitely choose from some of the other stuff in here, as well as the Space Marine Codex itself. Getting over to here, let's take a look. This is all original content, like I was saying. Warlord traits, Anvil of Strength, +1 to Strength. Lord of Fire gets Feel No Pain 2-up special roll against wounds caused by flamer weapons. I mean, it's okay if you get it, I guess. Patient and Determined. The mission uses variable game length. You can choose to add 3 to any d6 roll to determines if the game ends or continues. So pretty much I feel like that's going to get you an extra turn or 2. Though if the warlord has, your warlord has the It Will Not Die special rule. Forge Master, he can reroll all failed to roll hits with any mastercrafted weapon he is equipped with instead of only rerolling 1. Very neat. This includes any chapter relics or relics of Nocturne that have the mastercrafted special rule. So there you go. Never give up. Your warlord and any salamander units within 12 inches of him have the Sovereign special rule and can reroll failed leadership tests. So I'll tell you what, getting 2 off this chart really ain't that bad. I mean, maybe that 1 or 2 up against flamer weapons, it's kind of buster, but the rest of them are pretty dope. Over to here, the Drake Smiter actually gives you a Strength D attack. Now, it is 50 points. I'm not exactly sure it's worth the points because it's kind of a one use only. At 50 points, I feel like your points are better spent somewhere else, but it's fluffy and it screams Salamanders, right? Nocturne's Fury is basically a flamer that you can use as a normal flamer, or it can torrent out, and it is AP4. So it's basically a normal flamer with heavy flamer AP on it. Pretty neat. 20 points. Again, I feel like your points are best spent somewhere else, but getting that thing in the back line against somebody would really tear up some stuff, I feel like. So it's 50-50 right there in my book. The Salamander Mantle I'm kind of excited about, because the first Adamantite Mantle came out back in 3rd edition Armageddon Codex, which conferred the It Will Not Die, or the Eternal Warrior special rule, and they were the first person to have it. Then it kind of got taken away and turned into some other kind of variations, but now it's back and the Salamanders have it. So for some of you old veterans out there, you may appreciate that just as much as I do, because it's kind of neat to see. And then we got a tome over here, which it gets a +1, I think it's +1 warp charge and +1 to the strength of all pyromancy witchfire powers. Again, for points, I think it's better spent somewhere else. Vulcan Sigil, chaplain only, once per game at the start of any fight subphase. The bearer of Vulcan Sigil can use its power. When he does so, he and all other Salamander models in the unit make 1 extra attack until the end of the current phase. So, could do some work depending on what you put it on, but for 30 points, it's a little pricey. And then the Wrath of Prometheus, it is a mastercrafted Branding Bolter that's also wrapped in fire, of course, at 30-inch range. 10 points, it seems okay. I mean, it might be worth taking and surprise some folks with, but at the end of the day, it probably isn't going to win you a game. It'll help, but it's probably not like a game-breaking piece of equipment, and it shouldn't be for 10 points, to be honest. So then you got the Raven Guard stuff that we've seen before in our Kalyan review already, and Raven Guard's tactical objectives. Boom, boom, boom. And then we get into the psychic phase, which we're already about 20 minutes in on this video, and I know I'm probably going to spend at least another 20 minutes talking about this, so we're going to cut it right now, and we're going to make this a separate video because there is so much to talk about in this one. Let me tell you what, this is a saucy subject for a lot of folks out there, but if you haven't seen the powers yet, here they are. Take a good look at them. There's 4 different new disciplines, and culminating in, of course, 28 new psychic powers themselves, which are available to all chapters of Space Marine, so don't get it twisted. They are definitely available to the Codex Space Marine flavor. You got your Blood Angels, you got your Dark Angels, you got your Grey Knights, and then, of course, the Space Wolves as well. So 5 different books can use the powers outlined in here, even though, remember, this is only for Codex Space Marines, but according to all the advertisements out there for Games Workshop, including the White Dwarf, and including the card, the quick reference card that comes with the psychic powers themselves, they are a-okay for all those books. So that's it for this one, y'all. I hope you come back next week for part 2, the new psychic powers of the Space Marines. Spiky bits.
Make sure you stay in the trenches. Help keep our channel ad-free by becoming a supporter over on Patreon, and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.